Okay, we're going to do a little show and tell video on a basic way to set up a cage. This is Griff's cage in the bird room, and it's your basic 30-something by 24, I believe, deep. And it's got the extra space on the bottom, playpen up top. But this setup will kind of work for just about any cage. And one of the first things to know is that most of these cages come with either one or two perches that go left to right. Because the dishes in the cage are set up on the left and right walls, that's not really practical. So what I always do is get rid of those perches or remake them into two shorter perches from front to rear. In this particular cage at the moment, we've got apple branches because we have apple trees and they aren't treated or anything, so we know they're safe for the birds, and a lot of the birds really like to chew them. Griff is not that impressed with chewing on them, although he does chew on them in his toys, but as the perch goes, he almost never chews it. So we have it set up so that when he is standing on the perch, and that's somebody else playing with a toy in the background. So we have it set up so that when he stands on a perch, he can reach his dishes and climb up onto them, which is usually what he does. I've experimented with them at different heights, and no matter how convenient it would be for him to stand on the perch and eat directly out of the dish, he likes to hang on the dish. So that's how those perches are set up. Both of them are so that he can just reach the cups, and it kind of leads him into the cup area, and then he'll sit on the cups and eat. You also have to be careful in the placement that it's not so close to the dish that he will poop on the perch when he's standing on the dish. Because if it's possible, he'll do it all the time, and it'll just be one more constant thing you have to keep cleaning. So in his cage, it has the two cups on the left and only one cup on the right. I set it up so his water is at the rear on the left, and the food is the regular seed mix food is in the cup at the front on the left. And on the right hand side with the one cup, I use that one for pellets. Now as far as toy placement, this is kind of a pet peeve of mine, that I've seen people put so many toys in the cage that the bird really has no place to even move around. And I mean, I know you think you're doing him a favor by giving him all of these different toys, but the bird needs room in the cage. I mean, you wouldn't give your 3-year-old so many toys that he couldn't navigate his bedroom. And it's the same thing with the bird. They need some space. So what I like to do is think of the cage from looking at it like from the ceiling down, and divide it from front to back and left to right, so that you end up with 4 quadrants. So it's divided into quadrants, and you would have a toy in each quadrant and the swing hanging from the middle. My greys all love their swings, so I wouldn't want to go without that. And I like to make swings that are also a combination of toys on the swing, so they have beads and pieces of wood and pieces of apple and stuff like that, apple chunks, tree chunks, pieces, you know, stuff like that, little logs. A variety of things, including plastic pieces that they can't actually destroy. But the birds seem to really enjoy the toys that they can kill. They like to shred things. If you buy Nita toys, they're great, they last forever, but the bird often will not even play with them. So it's kind of a waste. So you want things that actually engage the bird. The other thing is that a lot of people don't utilize the door. And you certainly can. We have a dish on the front of the door at the halfway up point. And in that dish I keep either a different type of pellets, because I usually have like 3 types of pellets around here. So it might be a different type of pellet. It could be petamine, or it could be herb salad. And I try to vary it so it's not the same all the time and boring. I also utilize the bottom part of the door for a mineral block. And the other toys that I have for the greys, in the back, I have one of those Manu mineral block things that has the peanuts embedded in it. Griff has taken out all the peanuts, but he hasn't done that much to the mineral block itself yet. Now, this is Cosmo and Ruby's cage, and they have that same mineral block, and as you can see, it's almost gone. So the bird will eat that eventually, and it's really, really good for them. And now back to Griff's cage. So he has that mineral block in the back rear quadrant. In the front right side of his cage, he has one of these toys hanging. And all of my grays love these things. They poke the buttons and it says something. And each button has a different phrase. It's made by Ecotrition. It says Ecotrition Play Interactive Toy. This one is for large birds. It's also called Talk and Play. Encourages vocabulary building, learning, and companionship. And it's made by 8-in-1. I know that PetSolutions.com does carry this, but it's a great toy. The only thing I don't like about it is that it does have a mirror, which the birds may or may not really be thrilled over. But after enough time of them pounding on this thing, and which they really will do, but enjoy every minute of it, they may crack the mirror. So you have to keep an eye on it, and if they crack the mirror, I would take it out, get them another one. Okay, and in the left rear is a toy that's the type that I make, which has a variety of things on it. Again, it usually has hardwood, soft pine chunks, apple tree chunks, apple branch chunks really, they're small usually, and some of the leather pieces that you can get. And I usually also put, let's see, there might be some plastic pieces in it, and also I usually tie a little bit of twine with just a little bit sticking out, gives them something to work at. And that's one of the basic toys that I make and I use, and I just refurbish it as they destroy parts of it. So that's in that corner. In the front left side is an acrylic toy, which again, that's something that doesn't wear out, it doesn't go bad, it'll last forever, but they don't necessarily have as much fun with that as they do with the stuff they can kill. His swing is also the type of thing that has stuff that he can kill on it. This particular one, he has mostly plastic pieces on it, but he's been chewing on the swing, the cross piece that he actually stands on. He chews that a lot. That's apple as well. And it has the leather. He chews that a lot. So he spends a lot of time on his swing, you know, chewing on things and playing up there. The other thing that you can do, so that's basically the quadrant situation. But I also like to add in a very rugged bell, because these guys love their bells. And the noise that you heard earlier, if you did, was Paco hanging on his bell and just pounding it. And when I'm talking about a bell, this is the type that I get. It's a really heavy-duty bell with a very heavy-duty clapper in it. A lot of the toys that you see, even though they're supposed to be for parrots, have a very spleeny little clapper in them that the first thing the bird will do almost is to bite that off and kill it. So now it no longer rings, and to me it's dangerous, because if they can chew that, you know, little spleeny clapper off there so easily, I'm not sure they're not ingesting bits of it or whatever. This is a good sized bell. It's like a little cowbell, and they hang on this and absolutely pummel it. Well, because that bell is small, I can stick that actually I stick it in the right front quadrant, just offset from the other one. And there's enough room for that, because those two toys in the front are small. The other thing I have are a couple of different foraging toys. This one they like a lot. It's the round circle that has, I think, 4 sections in it. And then there's a little cover that the bird can rotate, which has a couple of holes in it. So you fill up the sections, put the cover back on, and bolt it to the cage. And the bird has to turn the cover in order to get whatever is in each compartment through the little holes. It takes quite a lot of effort, depending on what you put in it. A lot of times I will just put different types of pellets in there. And sometimes I'll put those little shredders in. I'll actually cut them up into small pieces and stuff them into one compartment. But you can use pretty much anything that's okay for them to have and just make it, you know, interesting. I also have in this cage one of those plexiglass things for foraging that will hold like a little a light cardboard box that has a couple holes in it. You stuff that and then stuff it into the plexiglass container. Often that lasts about 2 minutes, so at the moment it's empty. Sometimes I'll stick something else up there for him if I have something for him. And let's see what else is in here. I use a petty perch, and I usually set it up from the back wall so that it's, when the bird is on that, he's not pooping on anything down below that's going to hurt anything. And it's the highest actual perch other than the swing, so the bird actually uses it quite often. If you stick those things down low, you may never even have the bird get on it. So you've got to try to use your head about that and keep it up where he's actually going to use it. There is often, let's see, millet and a treat stick in here. And those you can put pretty much anywhere because they're not going to last very long. When you give them one of those, they usually go right through them. So that's what's in Griff's cage. Hi, Griff. How you doing, sweetie? That's what's in his cage, and that's how I try to set up all of my cages, at least for the big guys. Now, just as a matter of comparison, this is Ruby and Cosmo's cage. It's a much bigger cage. It goes almost to the floor. And this one came with also the 2 perches, but because of the way we have this set up in this room, I can't get into the side doors. On the left side I can't get in because I have the nest box set there, and on the right side, those 2 I could get into, but the other one, they're up against a wall, so I can't effectively use any of the cups that come in the cage. So what I've done is I've gotten the coop cups that actually slide into the holder, and I put those on the door. One is food, seed mix food, and the other is water. And if you don't go crazy with the water dish, it doesn't actually spill when you open the door, because these are pretty good sized coop cups too. And also these guys don't really come out because they've got each other and they're a breeding pair, so you know, the door gets open once or twice a day at most. Let's see, this is set up in the same quadrant fashion, as I said, except for the perch situation. So we have a huge apple branch that runs from left to right in the front, and from that they can reach the dishes. That's Paco beating on his nest box. And I also use 2 of the cups that screw on. There's one there, and there's one on the right hand side, and those will usually have different pellets. Let's see, what else different about that? Oh yeah, okay, and in the back, because of the setup again, and just the way it is, I have 2 of the heavy-duty petty perches coming out from the back wall, one on each side. One of them is almost long enough so that they can easily go into the nest box from it, and the other one is just out on the back side on the other side, and that one they can reach the toy, because it's, again, it's the quadrant thing. You know, you want them to have a way to reach the toys if you can, or just the fact that when they're hanging on the toy, they're not pooping on a perch down below it. And they also have their big swing in the middle, which they use quite a bit. I also have one more dish down at the bottom, and that one will usually have petamine or the herb salad or a different type of pellet, whatever. But again, keep things, you know, a little bit different. And the toys, I like to change them out every couple of weeks. I will change one toy, so it's not like everything is different. And that way they still have the familiarity of the things that they like, but they have something new and it doesn't freak them out. That's my bald boy, Paco. That's the daddy of the Timna kids. And he likes to pound on his bell. And he likes to pound on that talking toy. And he looks like a little vulture, but he's a super protective daddy. And he's a good boy. That's Ziggy back there. Ziggy's a very nice bird. She's the mom of the Timnas. Paco eating pellets. And we're back to Griff. One other thing that I should mention is that when you want to give your bird the beans, rice, veggie mix or any other kind of fresh food like that, you can give it to them in a separate dish if you want, which could be what you utilize that dish on the door for. What I usually do is put it right on top of the seed mix in the morning when I do the birds food and waters. I will give them probably a scant quarter cup of the beans and rice. That's for a pair, so it would be like half of that for one bird, maybe a couple of tablespoons, right on top of the seed mix. And birds will always eat that stuff first because they love it. And I warm it up in the microwave before I give it to them, so they really love it. But you can use a separate dish for it if you want. I just find that there's not much sense in it because they'll eat it first anyway. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty easy to set up the cage. Just try to remember not to set anything up where if the bird is on it, hanging on it, standing on it, whatever, they can poop onto anything down below, because if they can, they will. And remember, birds are messy. They just are. I don't care how nice the cage is or anything else. They are going to make a mess. Be prepared for it. If you vacuum around the cage every day, bird gets used to it. Or you could use a dust buster if that's the only thing you have to worry about in the house.